Chosen one. The test is over. You've been approved. Test is over. You've been walking through fire, not because you were being punished, but because you were being refined. Every delay, every obstacle, every rejection wasn't the universe telling you no. It was preparing your strength, sharpening your vision, and aligning the details for your breakthrough. The moments where you questioned your path, the sleepless nights you spent asking if you were on the right track, and the times you felt like giving up, those were all part of a greater orchestration. And now, the signal has been sent. The test is over. You've been approved. Chosen one. This message is not random. It's not coincidence. You didn't stumble on this by chance. The universe is moving in real time, and your spirit recognized the frequency of this truth. Before you move forward, take a breath. You've been in the waiting room for so long that you forgot what the other side even looked like. But now, you're not just stepping into a new season. You're walking into the life that's always been reserved for you. And it's time to prepare yourself for what comes next. Watch this video till the end, and if your soul resonates, write your warmest wish and the number 99 in the comments. That is how we activate the wave of destiny together, with energy, intention, and alignment. For too long, you have been measured by your endurance, how much you could survive, how long you could hold on, how deep you could go before breaking. But the season of survival is over. Now is the time for arrival. Every spiritual weight you've carried, every emotional burden you've endured, has been evaluated and acknowledged. The divine intelligence that governs this universe has seen your inner labor, not just your outer actions. You weren't just tested in public, you were tested in silence, in solitude, in situations no one even knew about. But your spirit never lied. It stayed honest even when your heart was breaking. What's coming is not compensation, it's confirmation. You are not just receiving what you lost. You are being given access to what was always yours, but hidden until the proper alignment arrived. You've proven that your integrity was not for show, that your love was not conditional, that your vision was not convenient. You kept building in secret. You kept believing when the results were invisible. You kept going when no one else clapped for you. And now, you've been approved by a power higher than people. There's a rhythm to elevation, and right now, it's beating in your direction. Listen closely. You'll hear the echoes of every closed door starting to unlock. You'll feel the momentum of unseen forces rearranging the next chapter of your life in your favor. This is not hype. This is the response to the energy you've been transmitting consistently, even when you had no idea it was being recorded by the universe. Your faith, your effort, your refusal to collapse under pressure, it all counted. You are about to enter rooms that your name was already whispered in. The approvals that you thought were delayed are now on their way. The connections that seemed lost are now finding their way back to you, restructured and stronger. And the dreams that felt too distant, they're moving closer, rapidly, powerfully, irreversibly. What once felt like resistance was actually redirection. What once felt like rejection was actually protection. And what once felt like the end was just the entrance. You've crossed the final threshold. The universe doesn't need you to prove your worth anymore. It has already been demonstrated. Your persistence spoke louder than your pain. Your obedience spoke louder than your confusion. And now, everything that tried to stop you will witness you rise. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with the version of you that can hold it. The old system, the old cycle, the old tests, they are done. You're not just done with the storm, you've graduated from it. The energies that once drained you will now empower you. The people who doubted you will become spectators to your transformation. You're not returning to who you used to be. You're stepping into who you were always meant to become. And this time, you're not walking back. You're walking forward, fully aware, fully ready, fully approved. Stay grounded, stay focused. The clarity you've been seeking is not a question anymore. It's becoming your reality. In the days ahead, you will see synchronicities lining up. You will see people showing up who were divinely timed. You will receive messages, offers, revelations that confirm what your spirit already knows. The test is over, and your reward. It's everything your heart knew was coming, but had no proof for until now. There's a new atmosphere surrounding you now. You may not see it fully yet, but your spirit is already feeling it. The tension you've carried so long is loosening. That internal pressure, the one that kept whispering you had to keep proving, keep earning, keep waiting, is dissipating. Not because you've given up, but because you've already passed. You no longer need to hustle for validation. The gate you've been staring at has swung open, not because someone else allowed it, but because you aligned with your higher timing. That's the shift. This isn't about luck, it's about resonance. You've evolved past the point where shallow approval satisfies you. You're no longer trying to fit into systems that were never built for you. You're building your own. The test wasn't just about how much you could endure. It was about whether you could still remain authentic in a world that rewards performance over presence. And you did. You didn't sell out your light to fit in with the shadows. You didn't dilute your voice just to be more comfortable to those who never really saw you. You stayed rooted in your calling, even when the silence was deafening. This new season is not loud, it's precise. The breakthroughs coming to you won't feel like chaos. They'll feel like answers. Not everything is going to come in an explosion. Some things will arrive quietly. A message, a door, a moment of clarity that shifts your direction forever. The energy is different now. The approval you carry isn't stamped on paper. It's etched into your spirit. The shift was internal first. Now the outer world has no choice but to respond. You're not in the proving stage anymore. You're in the possessing stage. This means your next move doesn't require overexertion, but alignment. You don't need to knock every door down. You'll feel which ones are opening. You don't need to fight for recognition. The right people are already watching. You don't need to explain your transformation. The results will speak fluently in ways words never could. Your energy has become undeniable because it's now sourced from a place beyond ego, beyond fear, beyond the survival mindset that once kept you trapped. You're no longer reacting to life, you're co-creating it. This is not just a reward for patience, it's a response to your readiness. All of those delays you once hated were divine calibration. The red lights were for refinement. The waiting rooms were for wisdom. And now, every lesson has solidified into strategy. Every disappointment has crystallized into discernment. You see clearer now, not because your eyes have changed, but because your spirit has matured. Let the record be clear. Your silence was not weakness, it was strategy. You chose not to respond to every insult, every disbelief, every attack, not because you couldn't, but because you were focused on something greater. You were focused on becoming. And now that you've become, the conversation has changed. You don't have to argue with people who are stuck in past versions of you. You don't have to convince those who only see with conditioned eyes. You don't have to shrink to keep the peace. The test was whether you could rise without resentment, and you did. This level of approval is deeper than applause. It's an inner knowing that nothing was wasted. Not one tear, not one loss, not one betrayal. All of it was counted. All of it prepared you. And now, the script flips. You're no longer waiting for a new chapter. You're writing it. You're no longer begging for doors. You're building them. You're no longer asking for a place at the table. You've realized you are the table. The test is over. Chosen one. So walk like you've passed it. Move like the universe is on your side, because it is. Make decisions like your future is depending on them, because it is. Love like your heart has been renewed, because it has. And lead like your path is already lit, because it is. There's nothing left to earn. There's only everything to step into. This isn't a motivational push. This is a sacred reminder. You've been forged in silence, in stillness, in suffering. But now, you've been authorized to shine without apology. The time you thought you lost is returning to you in acceleration. The moments you thought were wasted are coming back in multiplied value. And the energy you poured into others, often without return, is coming back, overflowing. Take your power back without permission. Take your peace back without hesitation. Take your vision back without apology. And know that everything ahead is not coming to test you. It's coming to reward you. You're ready. You were never ordinary, even in moments of doubt, even when your confidence was cracked by betrayal, even when you questioned your value because of how people treated you. You still carried the blueprint of greatness inside you. Not because someone told you so, but because your very existence has always defied expectation. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't chosen to be quiet. You were forged to awaken something ancient and divine in this world. And that's exactly what this chapter is doing. You've entered a new energetic dimension. Nothing about your life will look the same, because your frequency is no longer compatible with the old version of you. That old version fought to survive. This new version is born to lead. The test has ended because you've embodied the lesson. You're not being punished anymore. You're being positioned. Every setback has become a setup. Every tear watered your becoming. Every lonely night refined your voice. You're not just walking into destiny. You are becoming the evidence of it. The universe doesn't waste its strongest battles on the weak. It knew your capacity before you did. It saw the warrior when you saw only wounds. It heard the roar in you when all you felt was silence. And now, because you stayed when others fled, because you chose growth over comfort, because you trusted timing over instant validation, the reward is no longer a distant idea. It's becoming reality. Slowly at first, and then suddenly, all at once. This is the arrival you've been preparing for. You are no longer defined by pain. You are the proof that power can rise from pressure. You are the reminder that purpose cannot be cancelled by rejection. Every no that tried to break you was redirected fuel. Every door that closed did not diminish your destiny. It rerouted you to the one with your name engraved in gold. You thought you were forgotten, when in reality, you were being set apart, hidden, protected. Not because you weren't worthy, but because your timing had to be exact. You've passed through the wilderness of doubt, of isolation, of spiritual hunger. And now, you're being called into the garden of manifestation. The soil beneath your feet has changed. The sky above you has opened. The frequency within you is elevated. What used to trigger you no longer has access. What used to scare you now empowers you. And what once felt impossible now feels inevitable. This is the time when things start to flow, not because life has become easy, but because you've finally aligned with who you truly are. You no longer chase what isn't yours. You magnetize what is. You don't beg for tables. You speak, and the rooms rearrange. You don't compromise your voice. You amplify it. You don't dim your light. You build new systems around it. This is what divine approval feels like. It's not loud. It's certain. It doesn't need validation. It radiates. Let the world talk. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. You are no longer available for anyone who only loved the broken version of you. You are rising now, not in ego, but in essence. You are becoming who you were always meant to be, not because you earned it through performance, but because you remembered who you are. The test wasn't about gaining something. It was about remembering what was already inside you. Now, you are unshakable, not because life won't test you again, but because you no longer react the same. You've cultivated a new response, clarity. You've developed a new rhythm, alignment. You've adopted a new language, truth. You no longer doubt your path when it gets hard, because you've seen how the storm was part of the ceremony. The thunder didn't come to scare you, it came to cleanse you. And now, what's left is pure, untouchable, unshakable power. This is your reintroduction, not to the world, but to yourself. The self that was buried beneath survival. The self that was silenced by fear. The self that was forgotten in the noise of doing too much for those who did too little. That version has returned. And this time, you're not bending. You're not settling. You're not explaining. You're walking in the fullness of who you are, with no disclaimers. This is divine restoration. And it's not subtle. It's not quiet. It's not timid. It's loud in energy. It's radical in impact. It's global in frequency. Your presence is beginning to ripple. People you've never met are being pulled into your orbit, not because you're forcing, but because you're flowing. The alignment is magnetic. The elevation is real. And the proof? It's already forming. The old timelines have expired. The false narratives have collapsed. The contracts of pain have been burned. You are no longer bound by what broke you. You are now fueled by what forged you. Your spirit has declared war on limitation, and it's winning. You are no longer the same. You are the transformed version, cloaked in clarity, armed with wisdom, surrounded by grace. Let the old energy fall away. Let the old identities dissolve. You're not afraid to start over, because you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from power. You carry the weight of wisdom. You walk with the rhythm of purpose. And everything that comes next will meet you at your new altitude. Stand tall, speak boldly, love deeply, move intentionally. The test is over, and the transformation is irreversible. Now that you've passed the test, the world around you has to respond to your new frequency. This isn't wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. You've shifted internally, so your reality has no choice but to realign externally. The opportunities you once had to fight tooth and nail for, they are now seeking you. The rooms you once had to convince your way into, they are being prepared for your effortless entry. You're not walking in as the same version who once hoped for acceptance. You're entering as the one who carries undeniable evidence of transformation. And here's the truth, they don't tell you about elevation. It's not just about rising, it's about being ready to rise. Many are gifted, few are prepared. But you, chosen one, you didn't skip the process. You walked through the fire. You sat in silence. You learned restraint. You stared into the face of your own darkness and didn't run from it. You befriended your own fears and turned them into fuel. And because of that, because you went deep instead of wide, you now rise with roots. This is why what's coming won't break you. You've been fortified from the inside out. No external blessing can shake the foundation you've built, because you no longer derive your worth from things outside yourself. You are grounded in truth now, and the universe only expands what's stable. So expect the expansion. Expect the abundance. Expect the visibility. You're no longer chasing outcomes. You've become the outcome. You don't need to over-explain anymore. You don't need to fix people's perception of your path. That was part of the old test. Needing validation, needing applause, needing to feel seen, to feel secure. But you've grown beyond that. You've discovered that self-trust is stronger than public praise. You've learned that divine timing is more reliable than people's opinions. And most of all, you've accepted that not everyone is meant to understand your calling. And that's okay, because what you're carrying now is too big for small conversations. What you're stepping into now is too sacred for shallow spaces. You're no longer seeking approval from those who haven't seen the vision. You're no longer shrinking to make others comfortable. You've stopped apologizing for dreaming bigger than what they could imagine. Your expansion is not arrogant, it's accurate. So let them watch, let them question, let them assume. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the favor on your life. You don't need to convince anyone that you're chosen. That's between you and the Creator. That's between you and the energy that's been guiding you through every hidden breakthrough. That's between you and the truth that kept whispering, "Keep going," when you didn't even know why you should. They don't know about the nights you cried and wiped your tears in silence. They didn't see you get up again and again with no one cheering you on. They don't know about the sacrifices you made in secret or the things you let go of just to stay true to your path. They didn't feel the spiritual weight you carried for years or the loneliness that came with elevation. But none of that matters now, because you didn't endure it for their applause. You endured it for your anointing. What's unfolding now isn't temporary, it's legacy. This isn't just a new season, it's a new system, a divine one, a system where your peace is non-negotiable, your boundaries are sacred, your vision is protected, your time is intentional. You're building with purpose now. You're choosing people with discernment. You're investing in energy that nourishes you, not drains you. That's the reward of passing the test. Clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what you deserve. Clarity about who gets to walk with you in this next dimension. And trust this, not everyone can. Not because they're bad, but because your light now exposes what they're not ready to face. Your presence now activates discomfort in those who are hiding from their own evolution. And that's not your responsibility anymore. You're not here to convince. You're here to shine. You're here to lead. You're here to build something no one's ever seen before, because it was meant to come through you. That's why your test was so intense. That's why your process took longer, because you're not just carrying a dream, you're carrying a blueprint. The next phase of your life is about alignment, not attachment. No more clinging to people or places that don't nourish your spirit. No more holding on to timelines that expired in your last chapter. You've been promoted spiritually, and now the physical world must reflect it. Watch how things begin to shift. Watch how people start showing up with no explanation other than, "I was led here." Watch how doors that were once locked suddenly swing wide. Watch how the things you had to strive for before now flow with ease. This is not magic. This is you finally walking in rhythm with your higher self. You are not behind. You are not late. You're right on time, because the approval you carry wasn't delayed. It was divine. And now, it's unfolding. You've reached a moment where everything begins to echo back to you. The energy, the intention, the alignment. This isn't just a new chapter. This is a new vibration. This is the unveiling of the version of you that has been hidden beneath years of trials, seasons of refinement, and moments where you almost gave up, but didn't. You didn't fold. You didn't run. You didn't compromise the truth of your soul just to be accepted by temporary spaces. And now, you've emerged not just approved, but anointed. Your energy is different now. It's calm, but not passive. It's powerful, but not loud. It's centered, focused, grounded in the knowing that everything you've walked through was sacred. Every delay was coded. Every heartbreak had divine intelligence. Every detour rerouted you toward your highest alignment. The suffering didn't break you. It baptized you. And the version that walks forward now isn't fragile. It's fortified. You are no longer a seeker. You are a seer. You're not lost. You're not wondering. You're not confused. You have clarity. You have conviction. You have connection. And most of all, you have confirmation. The inner voice you once questioned is now your compass. The signs you once second-guessed are now impossible to ignore. You are synced with the divine like never before. And because of that, you're unstoppable. Everything around you is starting to react to this new version. People are noticing, even if they can't name it. Some are inspired by it. Others are intimidated. But that's not your concern. You are not for everyone. And you are never supposed to be. You're for the ones who recognize frequency over facade, who recognize essence over ego, who can meet you at depth, not just surface. Your circle is changing, and it must. You're not carrying wounds anymore. You're carrying wisdom, and wisdom demands space. It demands integrity. It demands atmosphere. You don't belong in noise anymore. You belong in clarity. You don't belong in circles where your voice is silenced. You belong where your silence speaks, where your energy leads the room before you do, where your presence activates remembrance in others. You are a walking reminder of what it means to endure with grace, to evolve with dignity, to rise without bitterness. You passed the test without losing your heart. You passed without selling your soul. And because of that, you can hold what's coming without it crushing you. Not everyone can say that. Not everyone survives the in-between. But you did, and your survival has become the blueprint others will follow. There's a sacred responsibility that comes with that. This next phase isn't just about receiving. It's about radiating. The world is shifting, and your voice matters. Your story carries keys. Your perspective carries medicine. Your alignment carries instructions for others who are still searching for the path. You are no longer just a witness of transformation. You are the transformation. And with that power comes discernment. Be mindful of what you say yes to now. Be deliberate with your presence. You are no longer obligated to explain what your spirit understands. You are no longer required to engage what doesn't elevate you. You're free now. And with freedom comes vision. With vision comes direction. And with direction comes manifestation. You will begin to see things move quickly now. What once took months will now take moments. What once felt uphill will now come with flow. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You passed the test, and that shifted the entire equation. Your light is no longer flickering, it's burning. And that fire is calling in everything meant for you. Opportunities, love, wealth, health, peace. It's not that challenges won't come, it's that your capacity has grown. You don't break at the same pressure. You don't fold under the same weight. You don't fear the unknown anymore, because you are the unknown. You carry mystery. You carry movement. You carry momentum. And all of it is now working with you. not against you. The approval you've received isn't just spiritual, it's generational. You've broken cycles, you've undone patterns, you've rewritten legacies. The version of you that's stepping forward is doing so not just for you, but for every future that will now be different, because you refused to quit. You said yes when everything around you told you to say no. And now, you're the yes that opens doors for others. This is what divine alignment feels like. It's not about perfection. It's about power. It's about peace. It's about walking into every room like you belong, because you do. It's about making decisions from wholeness, not scarcity. It's about showing up as your full self, knowing that what's meant for you will never require you to shrink. There is nothing left to prove. There is only everything to live. Your test is over. Now the world gets to see who you really are. The final moment has come, and it isn't an explosion. It's a stillness, a divine, unshakable stillness that arrives when you no longer seek what you already are. That's where you are now, no longer searching for the light, but realizing you are the light, and that light is expanding in every direction. No force on earth can stop it. No shadow can contain it. No resistance can suppress it. Because this is not the beginning of your journey. This is the beginning of your arrival. You didn't come this far just to survive. You came to shift timelines, to activate purpose, to embody truth. You came to be a catalyst of change in a world that needs it more than ever. You came to remember what others have forgotten. That power doesn't come from status, but from stillness. That purpose doesn't come from noise, but from depth. That leadership isn't about control. It's about clarity, alignment, and being the example. The old world has already fallen off you. The doubt, the guilt, the need for permission, the stories you told yourself to stay small. It's all gone. It doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't live here anymore. You've outgrown what once held you back. You've released what once bound you. You've graduated from the mindsets that made you question your own light. And now you stand tall, not just in confidence, but in truth. You are no longer the one waiting to be seen. You are the one illuminating the path for others. Your approval was never about a moment. It was about alignment. You've aligned so deeply that even your silence carries instructions. Your presence speaks volumes. Your existence inspires evolution. You are not who you were before the test. That version died in the fire. What rose was a force, a voice, a movement. And what comes next will not confuse you, because your intuition has never been clearer. You'll no longer ask, "Is this for me?" You'll know. You'll no longer wonder, "Am I ready?" You are. You'll no longer feel like you have to be anyone else. You've arrived as your most authentic, unstoppable self. The mask is gone. The waiting is over. The test is complete. Now is the time to move, like you've already been chosen. Because you have. Walk into your next meeting, your next dream, your next conversation, like you carry the energy of destiny. Because you do. Speak with the conviction of someone who's already aligned with the divine. Because you are. Show up like you belong in every room that aligns with your spirit. And if the room doesn't fit, you build your own. This isn't a return to normal. This is the rise of the real you. And what's coming will not drain you. It will match you. It will mirror the version of you that fought through silence, that healed in secret, that built when no one was watching. The relationships coming will respect your boundaries. The opportunities arriving will align with your values. The energy surrounding you will support your expansion, not contain it. because you no longer operate from fear. You move from fullness, from favor, from alignment, from divine orchestration. And that's why it's flowing now. That's why you don't have to beg, chase, or explain. You simply show up as who you truly are. And that's more than enough. It always has been. The test was never about passing. It was about becoming. And you've become everything the storm tried to prevent. You've become the miracle that was once just a prayer. You've become the proof that endurance has a reward, that faith has a frequency, that pain transforms into power when carried with purpose. You are no longer hoping it's your time. You know it is, so let the world feel you now. Let your voice echo. Let your light shine. Let your presence speak louder than your past. And let this moment be your eternal reminder. The test is over. You've been approved, and nothing will ever be the same. They called you a loser, not to your face always, but you felt it. You heard it in the silence. You read it in their eyes. You saw it in the way they underestimated you. You felt it in the way they left you out. You were the one they counted out before the race even started. The one they ignored, doubted, laughed at, pushed to the edges like your presence didn't matter. You were the misfit, the outcast, the afterthought, the one who didn't fit their mold, the one who saw things differently, felt things deeply, spoke truth when others stayed silent. And because of that, they tried to bury you. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't see, was that you were a seed, not a mistake. You were never a loser. You just didn't belong in shallow waters. Your soul was too ancient for quick applause. Your energy too raw for polished games. Your spirit too divine to be manipulated by temporary validation. And that's why they didn't get you. That's why they dismissed you. Because you didn't play by their rules. You followed your own rhythm. And for that, they labeled you the lost one. But what if being lost was actually your way of being protected? What if every room that rejected you was actually too small to hold you? What if every person who left was never meant to witness the magnitude of your rise? Because you see, the loser mind is not just something they put on you, it's something they hope you accept. They want you to carry that label, to believe you're unworthy, to walk around heavy with doubt and self-sabotage, afraid to even try. That's how they keep you beneath them. That's how they control the narrative. That's how they survive, by convincing you you're not enough. But here's the truth they can't handle. You woke up. You broke the cycle. You unlearned the lies. You shattered the illusion. And now, you don't just see yourself differently, you see the entire game differently. You've unplugged from the system that told you being different meant being wrong. You've reprogrammed the very core of your being. And now, the loser they mocked is the leader they're watching. You are no longer trying to fit in. You're focused on standing up. You're not chasing connection. You're building your own frequency. The mind that once doubted is now decisive. The heart that once begged is now protected. The soul that once broke is now whole. You've stopped being at war with yourself, and that's the most dangerous thing you could ever do in a world that profits off of your self-hate. Outcast? Good. You were never supposed to be in the crowd. You were born to stand out. You were never supposed to blend in. You were designed to shift culture. You weren't meant to be accepted by the broken systems. You were meant to break them and rebuild from truth. You don't carry a loser mind anymore. You carry vision. You carry depth. You carry scars that have transformed into strategy. You no longer think in limitation. You think in alignment. You don't move from desperation. You move from knowing. You've outgrown the mentality that waited for permission. You've activated the one that moves with authority. So when they say, You've changed. You smile. Because you have. You had to. The person you used to be couldn't hold what's coming. The mind you used to have couldn't handle the magnitude of your assignment. You had to lose the old identity to gain your actual power. Because let's be honest, they don't mock the average, they mock the different. They don't fear the followers, they fear the ones who create their own lane. They try to label you before you rise. That's the pattern. They whisper loser before you win. They call you crazy before you create. They call you arrogant before you lead, because they know what's coming, and it terrifies them. You're not bitter. You're just not blind anymore. You remember how they treated you when you had nothing. You remember who ignored you when you spoke from your soul. You remember the laughs, the silence, the betrayal. And now, you turn all of that into fuel. You use it not for revenge, but for resurrection. You don't need to prove anything. You are the proof. And let this be known. The outcasts are rising now. The quiet ones, the different ones, the ones who were always too much or not enough. The ones who weren't invited, but still arrived. The ones who were left out, but built their own world. The ones who carry truth so pure, the world has no choice but to listen. You are not broken. You are branded. Branded by experience. Branded by fire. Branded by rejection that became resurrection. And what they labeled as weakness was always your weapon. Now you don't just survive. You shake the ground you walk on, because the test is over. And the outcast has become the blueprint. The loser has become the leader. And your time? It's not just coming, it's here. And there is nothing they can do to stop it now.